Paul Purdue, and I am the infrastructure nerd.
And I'm Mary Jo Boyd, a legal technologist. You know, with the introduction to version 18, we had a lot of new features that came out. But I have to say that one of my very favorite is the overhaul that they did to the reconciliation process.
Yeah, it used to be that trust reconciled one way and then the routines to reconcile in general ledger were different.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you're going to be happy to know that they've made them both the same. It's much less complicated. We have all kinds of new things like side-by-side reconciliation. We have downloading of bank transactions, all things that make reconciling so much more streamlined and easy to do.
Awesome. Can you show us how that works?
I will. So like I said, I am very excited about version 18's release because they did so many improvements to the general ledger. And reconciliation is probably my favorite. Between reconciliation and general ledger and trust reconciliation, we had totally different formats, different ways that we did it. It was confusing, and you'd go into one program and it would be different than the other. It was hard to track your different transactions in trust. Now they've incorporated them to be identical. The only difference in trust is that there is a checkbox that you can include the client ID, which is wonderful because if you've ever went into trust to reconcile before and tried to find a specific transaction for a specific matter, it was difficult. You might have had 5 $100 transactions, but it was hard to figure out which one was which. So that is different. They've included that client ID, matter ID, so that you can actually see that now. So other than that, what I'm going to show you, I'm going to stick to general ledger here. Everything is the same. So first off, they've added the side-by-side reconciliation and a different way to start getting into the screens here. So when we get to our reconciliation settings screen, we still pick our bank account, we still have our statement date, and we still have a beginning and ending balance. That has not changed. But now they've added the ability to add in, if your checking account earns interest, you can go ahead and make that journal entry right here. And if your checking account gets charged a service charge, you can go ahead and enter that journal entry right here. Rather than having to go do a manual journal entry outside of your reconciliation, you can do it right here on the fly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our operating account. Now I'm in sample data, so we've got some weird beginning and ending balances here. But I'm just going to say that it's 0 for now. So if I had interest, let's say that I earned $5 in interest, I can put that bank account interest right here that I would have posted that to. So I'm not posting this to my bank account because the bank account is already out here. What I'm doing is I would pick out, interest income or something like that. So I'm going to go over here and pick that as interest income. I put the date. Now remember, I'm in sample data. So again, I'm in like 2014. And then I can also pick a journal. So I'll just say it's a receipt. If I had a service charge, let's say I have a $10 service charge, I again can go ahead right here and pick and post that account there. So I don't know if I have anything to bank charges. Here we go. And again, same thing. This time it would be a disbursement. And say, okay, that's going to make these 2 journal entries right off the bat for me on the screen without having to worry about that later. So I'm going to, this was for importing bank transactions, we'll talk about in a second. But now we're going to come into my screens and I've got my bank reconciliation started. Now I was playing in this sample data before, so I've got some things checked off already. If you didn't, that wouldn't be there. This is just a postponed one. So when I look at this screen, you can see now we've got 2 views. We've got our checks and other withdrawals on the left, and we have our receipts and other deposits on the right. So they've totally separated those out for us. So you've got 2 different columns, easier to find. You don't have to scroll all the way down to get to those deposits or other withdrawal area. It's all right here. The other thing I want to point out is that you can sort by any one of these columns on here now. Before, we didn't have that ability. So if you wanted to just go sort by amount, you couldn't do that. But now you can. It defaults to being on date, but I can sort by check number. And this would then go ahead and list all my checks first. And then if I scroll down, I would have all my EFTs at the bottom or others or any of the other thing there. It would be in order. I can sort it by amount just by clicking. Now, all of a sudden, I've got everything in the amount. So if you're looking for a specific check for a certain amount or a specific EFT of a certain amount, now I can just go right there and it's all right in order for me. Or I can sort by description. So if it's a specific vendor or someone that I have that I want to go in and sort by that description, I can do that as well. Same thing in my receipts and other deposits. It defaults to date, but I can come in and do it by receipt type. So if there was a voided check, there's one in here that normally would be checked off. I'm not sure if this was something that was done, again, sample data. But that was a check number. We have cash. And then, oops, come over here and we've got check, credit card, deposit slips, any of those things. It's all in order now. Again, I can sort by amount, and then I also can sort by description. So it makes it really, really quick and easy to find exactly the transaction that you want to reconcile, especially if you've got those little hidden ones, or if you've got, I have some firms that when they come in to reconcile, there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things to reconcile each month. If you're in a large firm like that, this really helps you be able to sort and find those information that you need. So yeah, that's some of the new looks that we have for the screens and functionality up here. Down below, this is still the same. So we have our cleared withdrawals. So this would be depending on how you have your sort. One thing I'll show you, and some people may not know this. This was always there, but you can tell it how you want to sort information. So back on this screen, that is no longer available. And so you used to be able to say, I want to have these ordered by all of my checks, other withdrawals, deposits, things like that. And so when we come out to this screen, what used to be here is now replaced with this checks, other withdrawals, and our receipts and deposits, and the sort functionality that we can just go ahead and click on. So if you're looking for that part of it, that is not there. But down here, this part is the same. So we can see how many checks that we have cleared, how many EFTs or other withdrawals we've cleared. And then you see our little service charge down here. This is already put in there for us and it's already listed separately. It won't show up here as a checkoff. It's just down here as it's listed. So if I were to sort by amount and go up to, my $10, you'll see I don't see it on as a journal entry. It's down here on this line item. If I need to modify this, I can just click on that service charge and I can change the amount here or whatever it is I need. Once I reconcile, that will make that entry and it will be reconciled. Same thing with interest. You can see that it's added down here. My cleared deposits, there's my receipts, and then my other deposits. So again, no need to sort out on the front anymore. We sort out here, but these things still post and tell us what we have. Now, why is this helpful? I have so many times where I'm off. I don't know where. And if I look in here and I look at my bank statement and my checks match and my EFTs and withdrawals match, and I have my service charge and all of my withdrawals match what my statement says, I can then look at my deposits and see if that matches, and if it's off and it doesn't, I can see I've missed a deposit to check off, or I've checked off too many, and vice versa. If my checks were off, I could go back and look at my checks. What did I check off or not check off that I should have? So this helps you narrow down where you may be off if this difference isn't correct. So that is very important. And so that's a tool that you can use, that these things should match what's on your statement. Sometimes you may have to add things together. If your bank statement shows you all your checks, EFTs, and withdrawals in one lump sum, it's just one line item, you would just add that total together and you would see that that would be what you were looking for. The other side is going to show you what you began with, what the cleared withdrawals were, what the cleared with deposits were, and what your cleared balance is, and then what the statement ending balance should be. Now, again, as sample data, I put 0 in there. My difference is huge because, of course, I didn't check off all those things. But this, and when you are finished, should be 0, just like it was before, and then you'll go ahead and finalize. You'll be able to print off your report. You can print preview, a little trick that I have if I just want to print out my outstanding checks. I don't want any of the other part of that report. I just want to print out the outstanding checks. When I finalize this and I go ahead and print that to a PDF, if I preview it, I can just go ahead and print page 3 or whatever it would be. And that would just print out my outstanding checks, page 3 to 10 or whatever. I don't know how many outstanding checks you have, but that's where you can do that way as well. Again, these reports are saved always. So if you ever have to get back into your report, you can do that. I'm going to get out of this. So one more thing, if I have to postpone, I can do that here. But I also can just click this little black box. That is going to just postpone. You'll notice that I don't have the red X available anymore. I don't need to cancel reconciliations anymore. So if I've already started a reconciliation and I need to change it for whatever reason, I can always postpone, change my amounts or whatever I need to do there if I had it in there incorrectly. You no longer have to cancel a reconciliation. That red X is not available either way. If I hit this little black X or I hit the postpone button, it will always save my work for me and I can say okay and get out. If I needed to get back into it, again, I'm just going to hit my tab key to just put in my information. If I had to change the ending balance, whatever that would be, I can say okay, and it takes me right back in to my bank reconciliation where I left off. So you will not lose your work on that. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of that, and we will postpone. Reconciliation reports are still over here. So I still can get to those. Now I'm in new sample data, so I don't have any, but as soon as I would complete a reconciliation, I would have that report here just like we had before. So that does not change. Some other new things with reconciliation is our import bank transactions. And if we go over to our, let me get into my bank account manager here. I'm going to show you that real quick. So over here, this bank account manager, this is brand new in 18 as well. We have our operating accounts. It just lists out all of our accounts that we have set up in our chart of accounts. Whether you use those or not, you might have a payroll that you're not using, or you might have, a petty cash you're not using. If it's set up as a bank account, it's going to show up here. If you don't need those extra accounts, you can always click on that, go into the chart of accounts, and you can change it, not let it be a bank account anymore. Just let it be an asset account or just take it out completely. But this account, operating account here, we have our bank account number, which is important because if you're going to import bank transactions, you must have a bank account number specified because it's going to match that up with the document that you bring down from your bank account, your bank institution. You'll have your name, you'll have the last import. It'll tell you if there's unconfirmed transactions, last transaction, last reconciliation, I should say, and then what your current balance is as well. If I want to go ahead and import bank transactions, you must have a file from your bank that you've downloaded. Now, some banks charge for that service, others don't. You have to check with your financial institution to find out what their criteria is for you to get that file. But if you do import bank transactions, it's going to ask you for a file that is in one of these three formats. You're going to need an OFX file, a QBO file, or a QFX file. So one of these three formats is what you'll need to get and download from your banking institution. I think most of them are OFX, but I'm not sure. You'd have to check with yours. But as long as it's in one of those formats and you've downloaded that to your desktop or wherever, you're just going to choose that file you downloaded and say open, and it's going to bring all those transactions over, which we've already done that. We have 23 unconfirmed transactions here. And then anything that it cannot match up in GL, if it was an automatic payment that was deducted, or you have some kind of a charge that is just taken out without you having to go through AP, or it's some money that came in, a deposit that didn't go through tabs and you needed to make a manual journal entry. Sometimes those journal entries haven't been made yet. And so you'll need to go in, it won't be able to match it up. If it can match it up, it's going to ask you to confirm these. So we're going to just go out to confirm. And here's a whole bunch of different things here. I can see whether there's anything that was matched. So here's something that it did find. It found that we had an ABC office supply entry out there. It already had found that. But it couldn't find entries for all of this. Now, again, sample data, I don't know what was in here. So if there wasn't a deposit for this or whatever, I would need to go look and make sure that I had a deposit slip created or that I had, all of these things entered properly so that then I can match them up and confirm them. Once those are confirmed, they automatically go into your reconciliation screen and they're already checked off for you. So you don't even have to go in and check them off. They're done. It knows that they're confirmed. It knows that those are matched. And you can just go into your reconciliation and that part's complete. And then all you have to do is find those ones that weren't matched or go ahead and enter those journal entries so that that's completed. So again, speeding up the process, making things easier, making things much more user-friendly was the goal here in this reconciliation overhaul. Really quick, I'm going to just jump over to Trust just to show you that that is the same. If I go into my reconciliation for Trust, Again, same thing. Pick my trust account bank number. I can show those trust account information. This is where we can show that client ID. So I usually always have that checked. So, and then your beginning and ending balance, you can still put in interest. Now, some firms on this, I will tell you that interest goes in and out the same month, so they don't even record it. It's in and out. It doesn't. They don't need to. They don't. That's something totally up to you whether you want to go ahead and enter that into an admin account or not. Other firms, depending on your bank, you may have the interest taken out or put in, I should say, on the end of the month, but it doesn't come out until the beginning of the month, the following month. And so you need to have it on your reconciliation so that you'll balance. So in that case, you can go ahead and you can create an interest adjustment here to go ahead and put that to an admin trust account right out here on the screen. I then sometimes will just use the service charge because most times there isn't a service charge out there for trust accounts. That may be different, but you could use that in and out in here and change the date of when that actually came out. So maybe that went in on the 10/31, you had interest go into your admin account, and on November 1st, you had it come back out. So you can kind of use that for that if you want to, or you can just manually enter it. It's totally up to you. But that's the only difference there. You can see it's still side by side. I can still sort by all of the columns here. Everything is the same. I've got checks on one side and EFTs and withdrawals, and then receipts and deposits on the other. All of the other screens, all the other functionality is identical. So makes it super fast, super easy. I'm going to make this just a little bigger just so that you can see that now you can see that client ID in the matter and who it was, so you know that that is the $500 entry you were looking for Peterson Insurance Company, and so on. So much, much easier in trust as well. So there you have it, the brand new reconciliation in version 18 that makes life so much easier.
And that's just one more way that we help you to worry less
and practice more.